r/AITA friend faked cancer to drain my college fund, so I exposed her. AITA for exposing my best friend after she faked cancer to steal my college fund. I'm sitting in a police station right now, hands shaking as I type this on my phone. My best friend of 8 years, Sarah, was just arrested for fraud. The detective said I should document everything while it's fresh in my memory, so here I am, pouring my heart out to internet strangers because I honestly don't know if I'm the asshole here or if I did the right thing. Let me back up to 3 months ago when this nightmare started. Sarah Chen and I have been inseparable since we were 14. We're both 22 now, recent college graduates trying to figure out life. She was the maid of honor at my sister's wedding. I was there when her parents got divorced. We even got matching tattoos of little infinity symbols on our wrists during spring break sophomore year. She knew everything about me, including the fact that I had $47,000 sitting in my savings account from my late grandmother's inheritance, money I was planning to use for graduate school. On March 15th, Sarah called me sobbing. Not normal crying, the kind of soul-crushing wails that make your stomach drop instantly. I was at my apartment making dinner when my phone rang, and the moment I heard her voice, I knew something was catastrophically wrong. Emma, she choked out between sobs, I need to tell you something, and I don't know how. I immediately turned off the stove and sat down. Sarah, what happened? Are you okay? The pause felt like an eternity. Then, I have cancer. The words hit me like a physical blow. Cancer. My best friend, my person, had cancer. She was only 22. How was this possible? What? I whispered. What kind? When did you find out? Acute lymphoblastic leukemia, she said, and I could hear her trying to control her breathing. The doctors say it's aggressive. I've been having symptoms for weeks, the fatigue, the bruising, losing weight, but I thought it was just stress from job hunting. I finally went to the ER yesterday when I couldn't stop bleeding from a tiny cut on my finger. I was already grabbing my keys. I'm coming over right now. No, she said quickly. I'm not at home. I'm still at the hospital. They want to start treatment immediately. Emma, I'm so scared. The next few hours were a blur of tears, phone calls, and racing thoughts. I drove to St. Mary's Hospital downtown and found Sarah in room 314, looking pale and small in the hospital bed. She had an IV in her arm and that terrible hospital bracelet around her wrist. When she saw me, she started crying again, and I held her while she shook. The oncologist says I need to start chemotherapy within the week, she told me. But my insurance. Emma, my insurance is fighting it. They're saying I need pre-authorization, and that could take weeks. Dr. Rodriguez says we can't wait that long. My heart was breaking for her. Sarah's family had always struggled financially, especially after her dad left and her mom started working 2 jobs just to keep their house. I knew her insurance through her part-time retail job was basically garbage. How much? I asked. How much do you need? I can't ask you to. Sarah, how much? She looked away. The first round of treatment is $23,000. But Emma, I could never. Yes, you can, I said without hesitation. I have grandmother's money just sitting there. This is exactly the kind of emergency she would have wanted me to use it for. I'll never forget the look of relief and gratitude on her face. She grabbed my hand and squeezed it so tight it hurt. I'll pay you back, she whispered. As soon as I beat this, I'll get a better job, I'll pay you back every penny. Don't worry about that now, I told her. Just focus on getting better. The next morning, I went to my bank and withdrew $23,000 in cash. Sarah said the hospital needed immediate payment to start the treatment, and cash would be fastest. I met her in the hospital parking garage. She said she was being discharged that morning and would take the money straight to the billing department. When I handed her that envelope full of cash, she cried again and hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. You're saving my life, she said. I love you so much, Emma. I love you too, I said. We're going to get through this. Treatment was supposed to start the following Monday. Sarah texted me that weekend saying she was terrified but ready to fight. She sent me a photo of her with her head freshly shaved, saying she wanted to take control before the chemo made her hair fall out. She looked brave and determined, and I was so proud of her. But then Monday came and went without updates. Tuesday, too. By Wednesday, I was worried enough to drive to her apartment. I'm okay, she said when she answered the door, but she looked exhausted. The treatment is it's brutal, Emma. I can barely keep food down, and I sleep about 18 hours a day. That made sense. I'd researched chemotherapy online and knew it was hell on the body. I brought her groceries, ginger ale, and bland foods that might be easier on her stomach. Over the next few weeks, I checked on her constantly, bringing whatever she needed and trying to be supportive without being overwhelming. But something was nagging at me. Little things that didn't quite add up. First, Sarah never wanted me to come with her to appointments. She said the treatment center was depressing and she didn't want me to see her like that, but it seemed odd that she didn't want support during such a scary time. Second, she looked good. Too good. Yes, she'd shaved her head, but her skin had color, she'd actually gained weight instead of losing it, and on the days I saw her, she seemed to have plenty of energy. When I mentioned this, she said she was one of the lucky ones who responded well to treatment. Third, the money situation kept evolving. 2 weeks after the first payment, she needed another $15,000 for additional tests the doctors wanted to run. A month later, it was $9,000 for a specialized medication that wasn't covered by insurance. But she was my best friend, and she was battling cancer. Who was I to question the costs or demand receipts? I gave her the money each time, watching my grandmother's inheritance dwindle from $47,000 to just over $8,000. The breaking point came 6 weeks after her initial diagnosis. Sarah called me crying again, but this time it was different. This time, it was relief. Emma, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice, I have the most amazing news. What? Tell me everything. The doctors are calling it a miracle. The cancer is gone. Completely gone. Dr. Rodriguez says he's never seen such a rapid response to treatment. I'm in complete remission. I screamed with joy. Actually screamed, startling my cat so badly he fell off his perch by the window. Sarah. Oh my god. This is incredible. I'm so happy I'm literally crying right now. I know. I can't believe it either. 6 weeks ago, I thought I was going to die, and now I get my life back. We made plans to celebrate that weekend. Sarah wanted to go out dancing, she said, to celebrate her new lease on life. She was going to start growing her hair back out, look for a better job, and pay me back gradually once she got on her feet. I was so happy for her. And honestly, I felt good about what I'd done. I'd helped save my best friend's life. That was worth more than any graduate degree. But then, 3 days later, I saw something that made my blood run cold. I was at Target buying decorations for Sarah's remission celebration party when I spotted a familiar figure 2 aisles over. It was Sarah, but she wasn't alone. She was with Marcus Webb, this guy we'd gone to high school with. They were laughing and holding hands, looking very much like a couple. That was weird enough. Sarah hadn't mentioned dating anyone, and given everything she'd been through, it seemed like strange timing. But what really caught my attention was what they were shopping for. Vacation supplies. Lots of them. I stayed far enough back to avoid being seen and watched them fill their cart with beach towels, sunscreen, a new suitcase, and travel-sized everything. I heard Marcus say something about Belize and 2 weeks and Sarah laughing about finally getting to relax. A vacation to Belize. 2 weeks. That had to cost thousands of dollars. I followed them to the checkout line, my mind racing. How could Sarah afford an international vacation when she'd been drowning in medical debt just weeks ago? How could she even travel so soon after finishing cancer treatment? They paid with cash. Sarah pulled out a thick stack of bills and peeled off several hundreds like it was nothing. I felt sick. I waited in my car until they left, then sat there for another 20 minutes trying to rationalize what I'd seen. Maybe Marcus was paying for everything. Maybe Sarah's insurance had finally come through and reimbursed her for the treatment costs. Maybe her mom had helped out. But deep down, a horrible suspicion was growing. That weekend, instead of throwing Sarah's party, I told her I was coming down with something and needed to postpone. She seemed disappointed but understanding. Actually, that works out okay, she said. Marcus surprised me with a trip to Belize. We leave Monday morning. 2 weeks at some amazing resort. I know the timing seems crazy, but the doctors said travel would be fine now, and after everything I've been through, I just need to decompress somewhere beautiful. That sounds expensive, I said carefully. Marcus is paying for everything, she said quickly. He said I deserve to be spoiled after what I've been through. That made sense. It had to make sense. Because the alternative was too horrible to consider. But I couldn't let it go. The next day, I drove to St. Mary's Hospital. I told myself I just wanted to confirm that Sarah had been treated there, maybe get some peace of mind about her recovery. What I learned instead shattered my world. I'm sorry, the woman at the oncology department reception desk said, but we don't have any record of a Sarah Chen being treated here in the past 6 months. That can't be right, I said. She was in room 314 in March. Dr. Rodriguez was her oncologist. The woman looked sympathetic but firm. Dr. Rodriguez has been on sabbatical since February. And room 314 is in the cardiac wing, not oncology. My hands started shaking. Can you check again? Sarah Chen, CHN, 22 years old. She clicked through her computer more thoroughly. I do show us Sarah Chen visited our emergency department on March 14th for a minor laceration on her finger. She was treated and released the same day. That's the only record we have. The floor felt like it was tilting under my feet. What about if she paid cash? Would that change anything? No, ma'am. We'd still have record of treatment, regardless of payment method. I somehow made it back to my car before the panic attack hit. Sarah had never been treated for cancer at St. Mary's. Dr. Rodriguez had been on sabbatical. Room 314 wasn't even in the oncology ward. But I had to be sure. I had to check every possibility before I let myself believe the worst. I spent the next week conducting what I can only describe as a private investigation. I called the other 2 major hospitals in our city. Neither had any record of Sarah Chen receiving cancer treatment. I looked up Dr. Rodriguez online and confirmed he'd been in Spain since February, researching new treatment protocols. I even drove by Sarah's apartment building and talked to Mrs. Patterson, the elderly neighbor who knew everyone's business. She confirmed that Sarah had been coming and going normally for months, no long hospital stays, no treatment schedule, no signs of illness. Actually, Mrs. Patterson said, she seemed happier than ever lately. Always coming home with shopping bags and takeout from fancy restaurants. I figured she must have gotten a good job. The final piece of evidence came when I checked Sarah's social media more carefully. She'd been very quiet on her main account since the diagnosis, which I'd attributed to her focusing on treatment. But she had a secondary Instagram account, one she thought I didn't know about, where she'd been documenting her actual life. Photos at expensive restaurants. Shopping hauls from designer stores. Pictures with Marcus dating back months, not just the past few weeks. And most damning of all, a post from 2 weeks ago showing her getting her hair done at an upscale salon, with a caption about trying out the shaved look for fun. She hadn't shaved her head because of chemo. She'd done it to sell the lie. Sarah had stolen nearly $40,000 from me. She'd faked cancer, to manipulate me into funding her lifestyle and vacation with her secret boyfriend. I've never felt rage like that in my entire life. It was like a living thing clawing at my insides. But I didn't confront her immediately. I was smart about it. I waited until she got back from Belize, documenting everything I'd learned and gathering every piece of evidence I could find. 2 weeks later, Sarah returned from her trip, glowing and relaxed and full of stories about snorkeling and beach massages. She hugged me and thanked me again for saving her life and promised we'd get lunch soon to catch up properly. That's when I put my plan into motion. See, Sarah had defrauded me, but she'd also defrauded a lot of other people. While she was gone, I'd reached out to mutual friends and discovered she'd been running smaller cons on them too. She'd borrowed $500 from our friend Jessica for medical copays, $800 from Tom for prescription medications, and convinced our whole high school friend group to contribute to a Sarah's Cancer Fund that had raised nearly $3,000. Sarah had stolen close to $45,000 total by faking cancer. I coordinated with everyone she'd scammed. We planned a welcome home party for her, supposedly to celebrate her recovery and her amazing trip. Sarah was thrilled. She said it meant so much to have friends who cared about her journey. The party was at my apartment on a Saturday night. Sarah showed up looking gorgeous. Her hair was already growing back in a cute pixie cut, she had a perfect tan, and she was wearing what looked like several $100s worth of new clothes and jewelry. She spent the first hour showing us pictures from Belize and talking about how grateful she was for our support during her darkest time. She actually teared up describing how our generosity had literally saved her life. The performance was flawless. If I didn't know better, I would have believed every word. At 8 p.m., I stood up to give a speech. I wanted to gather everyone here tonight, I said, because Sarah's recovery really has been miraculous. In fact, it's been so miraculous that I thought we should hear about it from a medical professional. Sarah looked confused. What do you mean? Well, I continued, since you beat cancer so quickly and completely, I thought Dr. Rodriguez might want to document your case. You know, for medical journals and research purposes. The color started draining from Sarah's face. So I reached out to him, I said. Funny thing, though. Dr. Rodriguez has been in Spain since February. Hasn't treated a single patient here in months. Sarah's mouth opened, but no sound came out. And then I thought maybe I misremembered the doctor's name, I continued. So I checked with St. Mary's Hospital directly. They don't have any record of you receiving cancer treatment. Ever. The room was dead silent. Everyone was staring at Sarah, who looked like a deer in headlights. Emma, she started, I can explain. Can you explain this? I pulled out printed screenshots from her secret Instagram account. Pictures of you at 5-star restaurants while you were supposedly too sick to eat. Pictures of you shopping for designer clothes while you were supposedly undergoing chemo. I spread the photos across my coffee table like evidence in a courtroom. Or this. I held up bank records showing the cash withdrawals. $23,000 on March 16th, $15,000 on April 2nd. $9,000 on April 23rd, nearly $40,000 of my grandmother's inheritance, Sarah. Money you stole by faking cancer. Sarah was shaking now, tears streaming down her face. But these weren't the tears of someone who'd been caught in a lie. These were manipulative tears, the same ones she'd used to con me in the first place. You don't understand, she said. I was desperate. I needed the money for. For what? I demanded. For your secret boyfriend. For your vacation to Belize. For designer clothes and expensive dinners. Our friend Tom stood up, looking disgusted. You.